So we have our featured guests this evening. We've had multiple issues here. So number one, Steve Rattle, our dear friend and owner of Roots Camp on the shores of the Red Sea, as well as owners of the Big Blue diving liveaboard vessel. Did a trade show in England this weekend. Full about 5,000 people at his booth there. Had to do his 24-hour COVID test on Sunday night. Guess what?
Positive.
Positive. So, America rejected him. So he is coming next month. He's already rebooked his ticket and whatnot. So, in his lieu, I will certainly can give the brief highlights of our expected trip here, and then Ingrid is going to give us a great pictorial and an audible of what you can expect when we go there. So, but just in general here, what we have coming up here is later in the couple of weeks here, we've got a trip to Cancun and cenotes for a weekend. As many of you know, I've spoken to a lot of you, but we've been doing our Florida Keys trips for the past, 17, 18 years. We're going to Florida Keys religiously. It's our signature trip down there. So great value and great diving, and just a perfect combination, easy to get to. Unfortunately, the pricing in the Keys, for whatever reason, certainly partly to do with COVID, people not wanting to fly away or go out of the country here. The Keys have gotten stupid expensive. We ran a trip in December. Our rooms in that trip for December were $149. Those same rooms are $329 a night. The same exact room, if you still have your key, you can get in there. $329, insane. I mean, our trip would have to be pushing $2,000 for a weekend in the Keys, and that's just doesn't make any sense at all here. So, just a wee bit further south, our Mexican friends welcome us with open arms. So, it is very cost effective and easy to get to, and it's great diving. So we've kind of ignored it for many years. Now it's a chance. So we will be focusing on a number of trips this year to replace our Key Largo trips, to Cancun, to Acapulco, which is a little further down the coast. It's just south of Cozumel, if you're familiar, and then Cozumel, which all represent three distinctly different kinds of diving here. Cancun has a lot of shallower reefs, so it tends to be a little more gentle. You've got access to playing with some whale sharks and some animals that, depending on the time of the year, there's a lot of snorkeling experiences we can do there. We've got the underwater museum there, which is definitely a bucket list check off there. It's just so mind-boggling to be swimming down amongst all these life-size statues, people as big as you, doing all their normal things in life, everything from a woman cooking at the stove to an accountant busy on his desk to kids playing. It's just amazing, and it just goes on forever, and it's just a really, it blows your mind when to dive it. And it's in 30 feet of water, you can spend all sorts of time down there. So, but Cancun is nice in that regard. When we go to the Acapulco area, which is south of Playa, which is basically the Mexican Riviera. I'm sure many of you have taken vacations down there. A little further south of that, then we're into cenote country. And the cenotes are just awesome. They are the entrances to Mexico's cave system. Years ago, before not to insult the current global warming community here, but the Earth has swung both ways many times since the beginning of time here. And when it was really cold, the polar caps were much bigger, and the oceans were 150 feet shallower, and the Florida Keys were a ridge in a field, and the Mexican Riviera was way out of the water. And during that period, because the the structure in the Mexican region, in that region, is primarily limestone, and the slightly acidic effect of the rain, which has been slightly acidic for 1 million years, constantly dripping in there, eroded through the limestone and created awesome cave systems with awesome stalactites and stalagmites. And when you're diving in a cave, when you see stalagmites and stalactites, structures coming down from the roof or coming up from the floor, you know that that cave was dry at some point. You can't do that in a wet cave. So that cave was above ground, full of air, and that was water and limestone deposits dripping and forming all these beautiful, beautiful formations inside. Earth warmed up a little bit, polar caps got smaller, oceans rose, and Mexico became a great diving destination. So, so now we dive the cenotes, but cenotes are basically where the rivers came up very close to the surface, and the surface failed and cracked and fell in, leaving a pond there. But those ponds are entrances to the cave system. So we do our cavern classes down there, we do cave classes down there, and we do cave diving down there. So if it's something that is of interest to you, it just is mind-blowing to go through these beautifully, beautifully decorated caves. It's God's beauty in all its glory there. So anyhow, so we'll be going to Cancun in March 24th to the 28th, and then on the 28th we're going to transit on down and take the ferry over to Cozumel. And Cozumel is the home to some amazing drift diving and all sorts of big animals and cool canyons and rock formations. Cozumel's neat in itself. So we'll be over there for a week. The details will be up on the website hopefully tomorrow. We'll go back into that area in April, and then of course in June we start our St. Lawrence trip. St. Lawrence Seaway trips are going to start in June. We've got 5 trips up on the boards for this year, but the first one is in June. It's a typical weekend. We drive up on a Friday night. We dive Saturday. We dive Sunday. We can shore dive. We boat dive. It's a neat trip. We also have a North Carolina trip starting in June, and we'll be doing North Carolina wreck diving. We've got 4 trips to North Carolina. 3 days of diving. Drive down, dive for 3 days, and drive home on the last day, and be home for work the next day. Also in June, the 18th to the 25th, we've got our Bonaire trip. We got a zillion names up on the board in red. We all know what red means. You're interested, but we haven't pulled the wallet out yet. So Faith will be calling every one of those names in red this week and firming up and turning them into blue names. So we've got to make sure we've got capacity and everybody can get onto the trip here, and we can finalize the details here. But all of you that have been there, you know it. You know how it works. If you haven't been there, it's an amazing opportunity for limitless diving, literally. It is the biggest value in diving that we can offer all year round. Unlimited shore diving, boat diving if you want it. There's really only a few sites that warrant the extra expense of a boat. Amazing breakfast, cheap meals everywhere, both at the resort and anywhere we go. Cars are included. It's just a fun trip. We got our Boca Raton and Blue Heron Bridge trip coming up the end of July again. That'll coincide then with lobster mini season. We'll go down there and hunt the lobsters again and barbecue them. And then a few other things in there. And then finally in September will be our trip to Egypt. So our trip to Egypt is a 2-part trip, 3 or 4-part trip actually, with an option at the end here. So we will fly there on the 22nd, fly into Cairo. We will tour Cairo and I don't take any of English thunder away here, but just basically geolocating the trip for you here. We'll spend a couple of days in Cairo doing cool stuff. That's, again, definite bucket list check-offs there. From there, we'll take a short domestic flight over to the coast of the Red Sea, Hurghada. We'll board Big Blue. Spend a week diving wrecks, a lot of Second World War wrecks, some local personal tragedy wrecks. We'll dive a a ferry that lost more souls on it than the Titanic, coming back from a pilgrimage, got hit a reef and got caught and sunk down there. Just a lot of cool stuff in there. We'll get off the boat and head down to a camp, Bedouin camp that our friend owns as well, right on the shores of the Red Sea. I mean, every morning you walk out and you're looking right at the Red Sea. Unlimited shore diving right there. We'll do some Zodiac diving up and down the coast. So again, if you haven't go from Zodiac yet, here's your chance, to add that to your repertoire of skills. From there, when we wrap that up, we'll head to Luxor. We'll drive over to Luxor, which is a whole different part of Egypt. Egypt is like two different countries. The whole Cairo and the culture and the history there is completely separate and different, and at a different point in time than what goes on in the Luxor area. So there we'll visit the Valley of the Kings and a number of other sites there, again, that Ingrid will go into here. From there, we're going to take a sleeper train back to Cairo. We had such a wonderful experience last time. Our group took the train. It was such a great experience there. Instead of a flight, we're taking a sleeper train. So we'll get there overnight. We'll arrive in Cairo. Most of the group will get on their flight there and head home to America. Those who are ready for more adventure will fly over to Sharm el-Sheikh, which is on the bottom of the Sinai Peninsula. And we'll go up to Dahab, which is on the west coast of the Sinai. And there you go. And just some more amazing diving. Places like the Blue Hole, which is a 270-foot deep depression right off the shore, literally.
Diver's graveyard.
Huh?
The diver's graveyard.
Yeah. You'll notice there's one thing in common. All those plaques there and memorials to the divers who haven't got out. You need to know Polish and Russian to understand all those names. There aren't many American names up there. So we'll dive that, we'll dive the bells and the canyons, and we'll dive from camels. We'll take camels and go further north and dive off of that. And then for those who are qualified, we'll do some technical diving down in the Blue Hole. We'll go out and we'll transit out the exit of the Blue Hole, which is at 170 feet of depth, and it's a long tunnel that passes through. It's an amazing photography opportunity during the day, midday, with the sun streaming down through it. So just some really neat stuff. From there, we'll take a van and head on back to Cairo and come home. So 5 days in Dahab at the end of this. So awesome trip. So hope some of you will join us. There's a limit of 24. That's how many beds are on the boat. That'll be the size of our trip. So if you're thinking about it, get your name up on the board. You can put it in red tonight. You got time. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Ingrid for a presentation on Egypt. And as she wraps up here, Maria, our Ukrainian contact, will be here. She got a little tied up, but she is en route. And she will be here then to talk about our that part of our
Drive.
That drive, thank you, our humanitarian drive to help the Ukrainian people out. So, with that,